people don't always realize that when people go onto stream that they actually are people and they are dealing with their own crap. And a lot of us use YouTube as our own sort of therapy to get away from bullshit and whatever. And yeah, I might not come on here and preach about things because, you know what, it's personal to me. I have days where I'm struggling and I sit here on YouTube laughing and smiling and carrying on. But the moment that broadcast button stops, it's a different world sometimes. Yes, I have my darling daughter who makes me very happy and things like that, but you know what? I'm human. And I think people tend to forget that we're human and we can only do what we can. Exactly, Gamer Girl. And at the end of the day, people don't know my life. They don't know what I'm dealing with. They don't know what I do on a day-to-day basis. They don't know what I'm doing when that camera's not rolling. They don't know the feelings that I have when that camera is off. They don't know, did I just get out of bed that day just to go and stream? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what we go through. People forget that we're human and we also have emotions. And yes, this is the first time I've ever cried on the stream. Will I delete the stream? Probably, because that's not what my channel normally is about, because I try to keep it happy and friendly and whatever else not, and funny. But fuck, you know? Right, Gamer Girl. It's more than just being a mom. Sometimes, you know what, I don't want to go there because that's just going to send me in a whole nother direction. Again, like I don't think I can actually deal. But yeah, you're right. And I do everything right by my child. My child has everything that she needs. She has everything that she deserves and more. She's got a good life. I love for my child. And she makes things happier. But sometimes it's not easy. It's not being easy being a person. And thank you. And it's quite sad that you had to come in here and see this as a first time, because this is not normally what my streams are about. Like, we have a lot of fun here. We make a lot of jokes. We talk a lot of shit, and everything else. So I'm sorry that you had to witness that, Belle. Hey, Numi. Welcome to the stream. Yeah. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's alright. I talked to him.
Good.
People shouldn't say things and make stupid comments if they don't understand mental illness. No, 100% Ash. They really fucking shouldn't. It's, oh god, it makes me so angry. It makes me so angry. And you know, like Robbo, I'm very, very protective of him. He's just a kid, and
He came in here and
yeah.
he said that his two favorite streamers are you and I.
Did he?
And he
That's
feels like he can talk to you and I. That's what he said
really
up in chat.
sweet. So hot. Who's hot? Megan? I know.
No, you are.
Well, Megan, we're in
Anyway.
your stream, so obviously people are talking about you.
No, they're commenting on what you said. I'm a bit of a useless mess at the moment, as we can see.
You always look beautiful, so.
Even when I'm got everything coming out of every orifice on my face, no.
Yeah.
You're perfect, gorgeous. Oh, thank you. Wow. You know, I looked good when I came on stream. You were all commenting, and now what? It's all fucked. Shit. It's
Megan has
heartbreaking to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Megan
I'm
has a really
human.
big heart, and yeah, she
I
feels
know
for
how he
people.
feels.
Yeah, so do I.
And like right now, I'm dealing with my own shit at the moment. I just didn't expect it. You know, like I've been pretty good about that, and while I'm dealing with my own shit, I just didn't expect him to. You know, I didn't expect anybody, for that matter, to say anything. But there was no way I could let him go because he's a good kid.
You know,
He's got a heart of.
that's the thing. Like that's the thing that bothers me the most about people and the way that they speak online, because you have no idea, honestly, what people are going through. You know, like
Yeah.
somebody could come on here and have just been talked off, you know, the ledge, so to speak. And it's like, and then come on here and try and be happy. And I know what that's like. A lot of us know what that's like. And vice versa for the other side of people that watch us. You know, we sit here and we try and do things to make other people happy, to make ourselves happy as well, if we can. And then people come on here and they're going through all this shit in their real life, and we all go through shit. And some of it can be absolutely just heartbreaking. And to be able to sit there and know that people care about you and have something and that support or community to help you just get through your day, you know, that's what we all need to understand and try and be a bit more fucking open-minded and compassionate about, because that's what we all are trying to do. So, you know, I just don't think that people should be commenting on stuff if they don't know about it. But you know, the thing is, kids will tend to do that, you know. And you know, you've got to just have enough people, hopefully adults, to be able to explain things and also keep the situation calm and handled, so people don't get upset. Because for some people, it's not just going to be them getting upset and leaving the stream. You know, they could hurt themselves. And people need to think
Right.
about that shit before they say something. Really.
Yeah.
Megan, if you ever want to offload, we are all here for you. Same goes for Kaplan as well.
I don't though. Well, that's the thing. I'm not that kind of a person.
Neither am I. If I say shit on here, I say shit because, like, honestly, it's either one, I've lost my shit and I just don't care anymore and I can't take it, so I'll say it, or two, which is the more likely possibility and what happens more often, I will say it to maybe help somebody else, to like have that possibility of reaching other people or giving knowledge or whatever. And I always say it based on my experience. Like, I don't sit here and talk like I fucking know everything. I don't. But You know, I don't like talking about myself and my problems, but if I think it'll help someone or something, then I will. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry, DV. I put it all on private. Do not take what someone says lightly because they can easily turn to reality. You know, you know what
Yes.
shits me though as well? The opposite end of the spectrum with that shit. People that joke around about mental health. Not like people that think certain things are like you just said, Ash, people that think certain things, you know, are just not a big deal. You know, it's not as, you know, some people have this stereotype on mental health. They put it in this box where it's like your issues aren't real issues. Your illness isn't an actual illness. Your, you know, problems aren't really problems. And that shits me in itself. But what I really fucking hate and the kind of people that I really absolutely despise is absolute complete ignorance with a side of cunt, basically. That's how I describe it. Which is basically those people that come on and they say shit and actually use it in the wrong way, which makes people that actually go through something struggle that much more. When somebody comes on and jokes around and says something like, I'm literally going to kill myself, that shit drives me up the fucking wall. Like, never fucking ever make a joke about hurting or self-harming or certainly not fucking killing yourself. Don't ever fucking tell anybody else to ever kill themselves. Ever.
I
Ever.
don't think they're looking for attention.
Yeah, because people that do that do it to get attention. Those people are doing it in the wrong fucking way to get attention. And then people that actually struggle, like some kid might come on and actually say, I'm going to kill myself in a lobby or a chat room like this. And somebody might not take that shit seriously because fucktards go and use it. They go and use it in the wrong way as a joke. And that's why I keep saying mental health is not a fucking joke. Do not joke about it, period. It's that simple. Don't joke about hurting yourself. Don't tell anyone else to go hurt themselves. I don't give a fuck how angry you are. And most of the time, it's not even that. It's just pure fucking ignorance. Those people I have a real big fucking problem with. And I don't care if you're a child, if you're a kid. Like, I don't care because that shit needs to stop. That shit is just, it needs to stop. It bothers me massively.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't care. If I see a 12-year-old saying that, I will have a go at a 12-year-old. Just as much as I'd have a go at a 45-year-old man or whatever. I don't care. Because people need to understand that that's not okay. Yeah, it's not okay to do that shit.
That's why I said earlier, you know, people don't know the life that other people walk or the shoes that they walk in. And yeah, I lost my stuff, and Simple Joyce hit the nail on the head. And it's simply because I know what that kid is feeling. I feel it, and I often feel it still to this day. I'm maybe 32 years old, but that doesn't mean that it goes away. You just learn to cope sometimes, and sometimes you don't. And people, that's why I said, when people come on here and they don't realize that I may be sitting there laughing and smiling and making a joke, but nobody knows what's going on behind that smile.
Exactly.
A smile is a good mask to them.
I really like what Creators Alliance said. No one realizes how strong someone with depression has to be to just do daily stuff like shower, brush their hair, or get out of bed. Fight on, one foot in front of the other. Never believe you're alone. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, she'll be okay. I think, the reason that we're all like sitting here discussing this so openly and every person can share a little bit of, of their own experiences because so many people fucking go through this shit. And if they don't go through it, they know someone who's gone through it. Like, so, but yeah, it is good to have people that can support you and have that understanding. And you know what, even if you don't understand it, you can still provide basic support for somebody. That's the thing that bothers me, Creators Alliance, because having a mental illness is all inside for the most part, unless or until you present the physical symptoms. And even then, sometimes people still don't accept the seriousness of it. I feel like there's always a comparison to something worse, or it's just completely ignored and treated as if it's not something, and it's like the way I always had described it when I would have arguments with people who would tell me, just get over it or whatever people would say, that I'm sure plenty of people have heard before, is, for me, the way I see it is it's crippling. It's absolutely crippling and disabling and all of that shit. Well, for me, I have obviously depression and severe anxiety. So for me, I can't really do that much sometimes. So the way that I always describe it is, if I was, and I know that I don't want to say this the wrong way and offend anyone else, but I made it so basic so someone could try and imagine it in a physical way. And I said, basically, if I was physically disabled and I couldn't leave my house because I need to get a ramp, and I need to get this, and I need to organize my transport and all that shit. Basically, I compared it to, one extreme, an example of an extreme, which was being physically disabled. Would somebody look at me differently if you can physically see my symptoms? You know what I mean? Like I feel as though more exceptions are made with when you can physically see that. And the thing with mental illness is sometimes, a lot of the time, there's no physical for someone to see and be like, oh wow, look, like, and you can be sitting there fucking feeling the equivalent of, and honestly feeling it, not just like it's drama, like actually feeling the equivalent of having your arm fucking ripped off and just sitting there bleeding and everyone is walking around you. And that's what it feels like sometimes to some people.
Yeah.
And worse. And that's just, like, and it shits me because, I can understand that some people can't understand because they can't see the physical, but if you don't understand something, like I said, just don't comment on it. Have basic fucking human compassion and sympathy. And if you don't understand, fuck, even if you don't care, have, basic life skills and the common sense to just be polite. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. But, certainly don't antagonize somebody by pushing something you don't understand. And definitely do not fucking use shit in an ignorant way, because that's just not okay.
No.
Because it really bothers me, the fact that people don't understand, but some people aren't going to be able to understand until they experience it, or if they experience it, or have someone else who goes through it.
Yeah.
You're welcome to Ash if
You
that's what you want to do.
People that are always smiling the most, and I've noticed this a lot through people I've met, the people that are always smiling and laughing the most are generally the ones that are the most broken, and people don't know that. People don't think that, they don't see that, they don't understand it. So,
Be polite. It may not be hard, but it's not common. Yeah, people are shitty. Oh, I made Dell leave. I'm sorry. I mean, Robin Williams is one example of many.
yeah, he's one of many.
At the end of the day, I feel like whatever the issue is, for me, it always comes back to what I've always said, which is just treat people how you want to be treated, and think before you do something or say something. Like, think about it just for a couple of fucking seconds, have some sort of filter, and then type it out. You know? It literally could take you 5 seconds to think, would this upset me? Like, before you type it out.
Yeah.
Because we still have, we have celebrities that pass away from that, and everyone makes a big deal about it for about a week,
Mm.
and then they stop caring again. And I feel like, mental health issues have always been swept under the rug and deemed, not as serious as other stuff to some people. And it's like the rate of suicide and self-harm. And I think self-harm is, that shit isn't even, that stuff isn't fucking recorded unless somebody goes into a facility and is treated or seeks treatment. And most people feel withdrawn and become antisocial and sometimes don't want to be, but they are trapped because of their mental illness. So there is so much that's just, I feel like, hidden and not shown. And, I think sometimes people are scared to say stuff, scared to talk, feeling alone and all that stuff.
Yeah. And
But
I'm one of those people that never talk about it. Like, I don't. I keep it to myself. Because it's just easier.
People like me and Megan will always have your back, though. To anyone that feels like that, you can always talk to us. Right,
Yeah.
Megan? Can I go on panel just voice to tell an experience? It's okay if I can't,
Yes, you
maybe another
can.
day.
Send me your, on Twitter, send me your email address, your Gmail account.
Hey guys, hold on, I'm just gonna give my dogs a treat so they stop barking.
My channel is specifically designed to provide all small YouTubers with anything they need to help grow your channel. Come by if you ever need anything. I will do what I can for you.
That's sweet.
Hey Cap, hey Meg.
Hey, Ash.
You're very sad. Can you hear her?
Huh?
She's a little bit quiet. You're a little bit quiet, Ash.
Let me just talk a little louder.
Thank you for
Just
stopping
yelling to
by.
my phone. Yeah, like earlier in the chat, Cap, I don't think you were in there, but I kind of had to, hold on, my dogs are barking. I had to go because, you know, some things for me is like really triggering like lately, and I just wanted to share a little bit. I haven't talked to anyone about this, and I thought this would be a good stream to do it. So I guess I'll just make a little short version of what's going on in my life. Maybe it could help someone else. This Saturday, I think it's the 5th, I bury my little brother. He was 25. He passed away January 28th, 2018. We're just burying him now because I live in New York. We get a lot of snow. They don't bury people in the winter. So you have to wait. I want to just talk about how he reached out to people that night and he took his life. On that Sunday morning when I woke up, it was the worst experience of my life, and nobody helped him. And I felt like a failure as a sister because I couldn't stop him, but he didn't reach out to me. He reached out to people he didn't really talk to, but they didn't take it seriously. When we got his phone back from the police, there was constant messages of him saying he was going to kill himself. Over 50 messages, and no one did anything. Like, everyone brushed it off. And I just wish if someone reaches out, never take it lightly. Like, take it serious. Like, even if they're drinking, like, call for help. Get them in a drunk tank for that night. Like, if they're just joking, whatever. Like, you know, let them be mad at you. If you know what I mean? It saves their life. And now I have to live with, I have a lot of anger towards those people, but not anymore. It's been 3 months. But I still have anger. Like, I think it should, I don't know, like, what kind of person doesn't, like, reach out and call for help? I don't know. Like, a lot of people. So it's just hard for me to hear people say they're worthless because I sat there firsthand on his phone and read messages saying he was worthless. Now, the thing about my little brother is he was a fireman since he was 15, so for 10 years. In the community, he gave his life to help others. He had a good job. He had a really nice truck. He had a good home. He just accomplished so much, and he still thought he was worthless. And it never makes sense to me because a few months before my brother passed away, I was struggling with depression and anxiety. I'm a gun owner, and I told my fiance, a couple months ago, I had a breakdown. I said, I wish it was me and not him. Because if it was me first, he would be fine. He'd be okay today. And it's just something I struggle with. So I just want to tell people, if someone reaches out and says they're going to commit suicide, I never thought my brother would ever commit suicide. He was happy. He was a strong guy, but he was a sensitive guy. He was very emotional. And that night, I don't know, he was his own worst enemy, I guess you would say. And things just got to him and it ate at him that night. Like, he was fine too. There was no warning signs. He was out with his firehouse buddies having drinks. He ended up going to a bar, had a couple more drinks, went home alone, and just for a couple hours, I guess, drank alone. And I don't know, something between hanging out with his friends and just being alone with alcohol, I don't know, being a factor. He just decided, I would think, but personally I don't know, because he wasn't open about if he struggled, you know, because he hung out with all firehouse alpha men. He probably didn't open up to people. And my brother and I were really close, and I knew he struggled, as did I, and we would talk, but I never sensed it would go this far, where I'm sitting here today wondering, like, what happened? Why aren't you here with me anymore, you know? So that's my experience, and I can't get the image out of my head of him lifeless. And I just want to make it a point, like, never tell someone it's for attention, or tell someone to kill themselves, because it's not a joke.
No, it's not.
And families, like, a lot of families I've had the pleasure of meeting are going through the same thing my family is. And it's been 3 months, yeah, but people around here don't know. You know, they reached out after a month it happened, up until a month. We don't really hear from his friends that much anymore. But it's still fresh for my family and I. You know, it's just like it was yesterday. Every day is a struggle. Some days I feel like I don't want to be here myself. Some days I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to deal with reality. And some days I feel bad because I wake up fine and I forget he's gone, and I feel guilt that I'm happy. So I don't know, I think it's just a lesson learned. Like, I never thought my family and I would have to deal with this, and I don't want to see anyone else's family, or if anyone here is having those thoughts, reach out to someone. Like, there's helplines you can call. I can always talk to you. I'm sure Megan and Cap will listen too, because you don't want to make your family feel like I do. You know, I don't have anger towards my brother anymore. About a month ago, I had anger. You know, it's just part of the grieving process, but never make your family, like, you don't realize what you do to them after you make that choice. You know, and you can't take it back. And I watched a video, if you guys want to look it up on YouTube, it's about a guy that tried to commit suicide off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he was only the 10% that survived jumping off the bridge. It's in California. And he said as soon as his hands left the railing on the bridge, he said he instantly regretted it. And he's thankful every day that he survived. You know, so firsthand from someone that tried to commit suicide, you know, there is regret. Like, he can live now to regret it. But people that go through with it, you know, there's more out there. There's more to live for, and there's help.
Yeah. You know, Ash, I'm very sorry for your loss, and with your brother and everything else. I know you've been through some really shitty times at the moment. And the thing is, when it comes to being depressed and being, you know, I'm one of those people that don't talk about it. So this is why it's so hard for me on here tonight, is because I don't tell anybody, you know, like what I'm feeling when I'm feeling. I express it in different ways. Like I come across sometimes, not online, but in my personal life, I come across a little bit aggressive and things like that. And that's my way of sort of coping with it. But it is hard, you know, for some of us, it's hard to talk about, you know, like for me, especially, there's not many people that know my story, and I don't really ever plan on sharing it either. And the reason you see me falling apart is because I can relate to a lot of it. And I think once somebody has depression, it never really goes away. Like you can learn to manage some things, you can learn to cope with some things. But at the end of the day, it always comes back. And that's unfortunate because, yeah, it's, you know, everybody handles their things differently. And I wish, you know, that things were different for you and for myself and for many others. Like, I wish things were different for people, you know. And I sit here, and my biggest thing in life is that I care. I care about people, and yeah, no, I can't. I actually can't. Like, I'm sorry.
I have a more appreciation of, well, I'm not saying that I wasn't a caring person before this, because I'm the type, I would do anything for anyone. So was my brother. He would, okay, I'll give you an instance of how he was. One day I was doing a clutch in my car. None of my friends would come over and drop off a little like part I needed to get a boat off, whatever, a little piece adapter I needed. My brother drove 2 hours. He was out of town camping, drove just to give me this part I needed. You know, like, that's just the way he was. And
Yeah.
now I have a more appreciation of life now. I'm still depressed. I still go through my moments, but when I feel down like that because of how my brother passed, when I get like that, I look at his picture. I carry a picture with him. I have a picture of him in my car, just all around to remind me, just try to push forward. And I reach out to talk to someone when I feel like that. You know, I just feel like everyone's life is so valuable. Like, everyone's put on this earth. You guys all make a difference. Like, you don't realize it, but I just feel everyone has an impact on someone, which you don't even get, I guess. Like, some people think, oh, if I'm gone tomorrow, but that one person will feel the greatest loss, like, outside your family, like, that you don't know. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you don't realize how much you impact until you're gone. Like, my brother, at his wake, there was over 1,000 people that showed up. My brother thought he was worthless. He said that constantly that night. But all these people showed up, you know, to pay their respects. It's just, you just never know how much you impact someone until you're gone, I guess. Like, the family realizes it. And I don't want people to ever feel like he did. And if you do, you know, there's resources out there, and friends, like, and family. It's just sad that people feel that way. Like you said, that you hold it in, and maybe some people don't even know, Meg, in your real life. Like, people don't see it. You know, I never saw it. I never saw my brother to the point where he was going to do what he did. That's the thing. Like, it's so trapped in you. Like, so on days, like, people see me, I'm fine. Like, my exterior is fine, but in the inside, what I explain to my fiance is, I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own body. Like, I feel like I'm hurting so much in the inside, it feels like a physical pain. You know, and people don't realize that, because inside and not like Kaplan was saying, it's not like a disability you have on your exterior. You know, it's so internal, like people don't see it. That's why I'm trying to be nice to everyone now. Like I said, I was always nice to people, but I make that point to say, hi, how are you to people when I'm out, and just, you know, make someone's day worth it, because you don't know the person next to you standing in the grocery line, what their life is like at home, you know?
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah, I think that I feel like without going into details, I can understand for the most part what you've been through, Ash. So, on two different levels. One of those I've told you about in DMs. And for me, like, yeah, it's just hard.
Yeah.
For two reasons. And the second one I haven't told you about, but like, I've got no problem telling you about it. And I probably will actually message you after to talk to you about that, because I kind of want to. But yeah, for me, every time you mention your brother, I just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just taking it a day at a time. It's hard, like, I don't know. I've dealt with loss. This is the first loss I've dealt with this close and like my family member. So this is my first loss I dealt with, and it's just really hard. It's unimaginable. And for anyone that lost someone, like, you know, I'm sorry if anyone did lose anyone, and it's definitely a process. And grieving, like, if you are angry one day, like, let yourself be angry. Like, don't bottle everything up. Like, you need to grieve. If you grieve by yourself, like, better, that's the way you like to grieve. Like, do it at your own level. Don't let someone tell you, oh, you shouldn't be sad today. You can be sad. Take it at your own pace. Like, there's no book about how to properly grieve. Everyone's different. Like, so don't ever let someone tell you how to grieve. Just do it in your own way, at your own pace. Because it affects you your own way too, you know? Like, my sister and I are twins, and we grieve differently. Like, just because we're twins, like, people think, like, should be at the same level, but we feel things differently. Like, we're two different people, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry for your loss, Cap. Like, I totally get how it feels, and, you know, every day is just hard. But yeah, you can message me. I don't have Twitter at the moment. I had to deactivate it because people are kind of bugging me on it. Like, I'm not going to go into detail about that, but I ended up deactivating it just to take a little break from it. But yeah, I've never told anyone, like, outside my family. Our close friends in my life, I talk about my brother and the loss, and I just thought, now what has happened on Megan's stream, I thought I'd come on and, you know, tell people from my experience, like, don't say things to someone when you don't understand. Like, because that definitely triggered me in a lot of ways, because people made it a point, like, that, oh, it's just a joke, or, oh, he's just kidding, or just he's just upset at the moment. Like, don't take it lightly. Like, you know, don't judge someone on how they're feeling. You don't know how they're feeling, you know?
Exactly.
I'm just like, so, I'm sorry if I'm, like, not making sense. I'm, like, so jumbled.
No, you are
like,
making sense.
It's just hard to explain things, and this is my first time, like, talking about it, so it's like,
I understand. I wanna like share it, because it's so similar, but at the same time, I don't want to do that because people are fucking cruel and nasty, and there's a reason why I don't share personal stuff on here. But you know, I think a lot of us have dealt with loss, and then all I will say is with your situation, Ash, just to try and explain it to you, maybe so you kind of get it now without me telling you everything, because I will actually tell you everything outside of this. But like I said, for me, with your story, it's both your brother because of my cousin that passed away that I told you about, um and then there's like the other side of it, which is what your brother went through, and I've experienced that with someone very close to me very recently. But yeah, I'm not gonna talk about my personal life on here. So for me, when you talk about him, it's all the fucking emotions. It's instant tears every time you mention him. And like for me, it's like what Megan went through today with Rob. I can say this, when you came onto my stream, which I already told you about this anyway, but when the first time Ash came onto my stream and talked about her brother, it absolutely hit me like a freight train, and I had to leave because I completely broke down in tears. Not that anybody on my stream knew this at the time. Not that it really matters, but people don't know this, but I'm saying it now. That's when she came in and she mentioned him, because I had lost someone that was like that for me. Very well, it feels like, I mean, it's, like Ash was saying, like it feels like, it doesn't feel like it's been a week or 3 months or a year, or it doesn't feel like that. Like for me, I kept saying it was literal, like legit. I have been telling people it was, I think, 6 months ago. Like I don't know why, 6 months kept sticking in my head. And every time I was telling the story about it to, obviously, because it was just personal, every time I would tell anyone, I'd be like, it was 6 months, it was 6 months. Last week was his 1 year, actually. So that was like, that was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like time just, and in my head, I was like, how has it been a year? Because for me, it doesn't feel like a year at all. Like that's like, it's like bizarre to me. It's like surreal. It's, and that's the thing that I think, again, people don't get, like mentally how it feels and what's going on can be so far and distant from reality, or your version of reality sometimes. And yeah, for me, when you talk about him, it's just so many things that you said to me, obviously, that I just find similarities, and it's really, really difficult for me to talk about stuff like that. And I'm like Megan with myself, and just in general with stuff like this. I don't talk about it. My way of grieving is just keeping things inside. And my way is not breaking down and crying, which I've fucking done enough of during this bloody stream, so awesome sauce. But my way is not doing that, because some people can cry and they need to cry and it helps them, and some people, everyone has different ways of dealing, like you said, with grief. For me, it's almost, or I guess can be perceived as not dealing, because I just keep it in. because I have to, or I feel like I do anyway, because when I cry, I get the way that I feel if I break down and let go of everything and all my emotions is, it's almost like I'm putting up a wall to not feel it. And it's too much for me to feel. If I just, let a little, like if it's a little bit cracked, it'll absolutely flood everything. That's how it feels for me. And because I've struggled with stuff in my personal life and I've been there, I can't let myself do that. So my role for the longest time has been between trying to manage myself and not let myself be there to the point where I feel that bad. And then the other side of that is trying to be a pillar for everybody else when they feel that bad. Because I think seeing, somebody else in that brings you out of your own stuff sometimes. And it's that basic just having compassion for people. And, it's really hard because a lot of people, when they're depressed and suicidal, they don't talk. In fact, when I went through it, my aim was to make sure no one could stop me. So I'm pretty good at putting it on. I'm a pretty good actor in that way because I've been like that my entire life. My entire life has been holding up people. So, and that's the thing, like, you don't know what somebody is going through, so you can't sit there and poke at them because they could be hanging by a thread. I don't want to upset you, so I don't want to upset anybody in the chat. If I do, I'm sorry. But I think, it's upsetting. It's never going to be a good conversation because, like I said, we all can relate in one way or another, whether we've lost or not. It's just hurtful to have people have to go through that. And yeah, I've seen loss and I've seen what it does to a family, and it's yeah, you have to speak out. You have to, because we're all sitting here from our own pain and still trying to help other people because
And for something like me, for the last 16 years, I've gone through repeated loss. And I don't talk about it. So I know how you both kind of feel. But I don't talk about it. And I don't talk about who they are. But it's been repeated year after year. All kinds of deaths. I really struggle to talk about these things. I do.
I wish that talking about it for myself would help me in any way, but it doesn't actually help me to talk about my stuff. It makes me feel worse to talk about my stuff. The only time I feel like it's okay to talk about it is in a scenario like this where I feel like maybe talking about shit could help somebody else or just make someone else feel for a moment like they are, someone else understands or someone else feels the same thing. And like I've said, with everything that I do personally, it's moments that you have to hold on to sometimes, because sometimes you have to live your life a moment at a time because it's so fucking difficult. And if you can have those moments that get you through that day, then I've done my job. And even if I don't get those moments for myself, that's the only time I feel like saying something will do anything. But for myself, I can sit there and say something and just be absolutely numb to what my own experiences have been, because I've had to build up that wall and tolerance to it. but it's so different. It's, you know, it's funny how I find it weird for myself how closed off I can be, and then to have somebody like Ash, who I don't know, you know, she comes into my streams, we don't know each other in real life, and just to have somebody come in and talk about their experience and their loss and have it absolutely break me down in a way that I've been, you know, not doing for so long is, and that's what I think it is. It's the power of compassion and understanding, and I think that's why we need to talk about it, because it's fucking shitty, but it might help somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't.
I hope I could have the strength to do that one day, because
Yeah, like I said, I haven't talked to anyone about what I've gone through, but I felt like I should. But also, I was always worried about the negative backlash and stigma behind how he passed away. I only had this happen once in my actual life. I just want to make this point to anyone that knows someone that passed away from suicide. If you know their family and you have a personal opinion about how they passed away and they took their life, do not ever tell that family that, like, you would disagree with, or he was not strong, if that makes sense. Like, I've had someone personally, I'll tell you, a good friend of mine, which is no longer my friend, tell me that I told her how my brother passed away, and she took it as a negative thing and said, oh, wow, he wasn't strong, like, that's a sin, or all this baloney, which she doesn't know mental illness. She doesn't know it personally. Like, don't sit there and tell someone a week after they lost a family member due to suicide. Don't tell them your opinion. Keep your opinion towards yourself. No matter how a person passed away, that family is grieving. That family has a hole in their heart, like, for the rest of their life. Like, I think that was really wrong for someone to say that to me. Like, people have their opinion. Yes, I know they do about suicide, but don't ever tell someone that. Like, don't, because that makes someone feel a lot worse about the situation. You know, just don't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the worst things that has happened. That's the only negativity I got from it, which was not okay, because this was supposed to be a good friend of mine in my actual life. You know, I forget exactly what she said, but it was along the lines of, she said it was selfish of him. And
you know, yeah. I want to say something, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, and I don't even know if I should say it in front of Ash, but I feel like I need to say it for myself. So, Ash, I apologize in advance if this hurts you. I don't want it to hurt you. But I just need people to understand, because I've heard this a lot in my life. I've been through shit. And I've been at the point where I've done stupid stuff, let's just say that, without going into too much detail. And the thing that I felt when I felt that low, and I was at the point of I didn't want to be here, and I was at the point of no longer being here. I got told that a lot. I heard, you know, when I tried to speak to people, when I tried to reach out to people for support and tell them how I was feeling, which for me is a big fucking thing for me to do, because I don't do that. I don't talk about it. So I was struggling inside with wanting to fight for myself, because a part of me hadn't given up, obviously, and so that part of me was the one that reached out and that tried to talk to people, but at the same time, when I did try and talk to them, all I could say was exactly how I felt, which was completely destroyed and worthless, and that I didn't want to be here, and that no one loved me, etc., etc. And you know, when I got told that it would be selfish of me to leave my family behind and to think of what it would do to them, it upset me and it made me really angry. It made me really fucking angry because, again, and this is the part that I might upset people with, but this is just how I felt, and I don't want anyone to take this and experience it for themselves because this was how I felt. But I was angry because I felt inside like I was bleeding out and no one could see it. I felt like I was suffocating, I felt like I was drowning, and I felt like I was kept here in a prison by being alive. Because being alive, I didn't feel alive, I didn't feel like I was living my life, and I felt so heartbroken that I could love my family so much, but that they could not let me go so I could feel peace and happy and okay. And I felt like I was dying, and they were letting me, and they were forcing me to stay here in torture and pain. So when people say that it's cowardice and selfish, I don't agree. I think suicide can be a horrible, horrible thing. And I think we all have to try and stop someone's pain before it gets to the point where they feel like there isn't another option. And I don't mean on a one-off sort of, you know, situation influenced by alcohol or influenced by drugs or anything like that. I mean the consistent behavior over, you know, years, or months or years usually, of somebody feeling that way. And, you know, I just want to tell people because I need people to understand so that way maybe they won't say shit that comes off as selfish to that person, you know, because when you feel that way, you don't tell people and you hide it. Well, I did. I'll speak for myself. I hide everything to protect the ones that I love. I don't want them to feel my pain. And, you know, for me, I couldn't imagine sitting there telling the people that love me to death, that always have, how much it hurts me that they keep me here and to let me go. So I don't think any of us can really imagine what that feels like, but I felt that, and I know what it feels like. And obviously I'm still here, but you know, I don't like it when people say to someone it's cowardice. I don't think it's cowardice at all. And selfish, I mean, some can perceive it that way, but you know, you never know. Like I said, at the end of the day, we never know what someone else is going through. And that's all I want to say. I don't want it to be taken out of context or someone to make something personal and take parts of it that I've said. You know, I just want people to understand that, you know, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. And it's horrible that someone has to get to the point where they feel like that is their only way out and that is their way of escape and peace. And yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. Clearly, otherwise, you know.
Yeah, I don't think that was offending at all. Actually, I agree with you because I know what it felt like. Like I told you, like a couple months before he passed, like I was at that point, and I only didn't go through with it. I remember one night I had one of my handguns in my room. I was ready. I just couldn't do it, and I stopped myself because because my fiance, he's like always told me, he's like, I don't know what I would do without you, and I thought that was selfish of him. Like I'm hurting so bad, and I'm only staying here for you. So I lost someone to suicide. I felt suicidal and still have those moments. So I see the side my brother felt, like, because I went through it and I see your side. Like, it makes sense to me personally because I've dealt with it.
Yeah, that's just, you know, I would get told, like, when I had conversations with friends, because I mean, I don't talk to them anymore, but when I had friends, um, I had one friend who was my best friend who tried to do everything the right way. She couldn't understand it, hadn't experienced it, I don't think, with herself or a friend or a family member. She experienced loss in other ways, but she didn't experience mental health. And, you know, I think she did her best to try and support in the way of recommending, you know, seeing doctors or a therapist or etc. etc. And then I had another one who just had no sympathy for it and compassion for it whatsoever, because her experience was completely different to mine, and she also went through it, but dealt with it in a completely opposite way of that I did. So therefore, she didn't have compassion for the way that I was going through it, and that's the thing I think we need to understand is you need to just be understanding. You don't have to always understand exactly why someone does what they do, how they do it, but you need to at least understand that we are all different and we all deal with things differently. Um, and we all feel, you know, we're all fucking human. Um, and yeah, just because my experience was different to hers, like I was, you know, told many things. And yeah, selfish really bothered me because I used to be the most selfless person that I know, which is, I'm not trying to boast about myself. I'm not that kind of person, but anyone who knew me, you know, I was like the kindest, most selfless person. Um, I'm not so much now, but um, you know, it was always to protect other people. But you know, like I've said, everybody has a breaking point, and I think it's very difficult for someone to go through with that. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's easy at all, and in any way that it's done. Um, and I think people really need to think like it can be horrific. Some of the ways that people can do certain things, it's horrific, and it's not easy. And I remember when I was feeling that way, because what I felt, I didn't, you know, it wasn't like a one time thing. It wasn't, you know, it was a repetitive situation over a certain period of time. And I remember thinking about it, um, you know, because you obviously think about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. And I remember thinking about it, and all the scenarios that went through my mind were so fucking horrible. And then I remember having nightmares because it was so stuck in my subconscious, I think, that I had nightmares of, you know, different ways. And it felt so real in my nightmares, and it was fucking horrific. It was like, you know, I would wake up like choking, or I would wake up feeling like my lungs had no air, or because of whatever scenario I was dreaming about, because I was thinking about it in my real life. And let me tell you, just from fucking dreaming about that shit, I would never want to ever do any of that to myself, ever. Now, and because I felt it, like, and it was not easy, you know. It was the furthest thing that I could ever imagine from easy. So I don't want people to sit there and say that suicide is you know, an easy way out. I don't like that saying at all. I don't want people to say, you know, you're selfish, because at the end of the day, and again, this might piss people off, because I don't want to say that I am okay with people with suicide, but I am more of a believer that people are allowed to do what they want. It's their life. It is their choice. If they choose to end their life, then there's a reason why they did that. And I pray to fucking God for anyone who ever has gone through it, and people, I wish that they never have to go through the loss of it. I want people to get help, to not feel that way, to not get to that point. But if anyone gets to that point and does go through with it, I don't ever want anyone to ever go back and talk about that person, like Ash said, and ever call that person a coward or call them selfish for what they've done. Because, like I said, when it was me, I felt that everyone around me was selfish for keeping me here. So people need to understand that.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like you said, the choice of going out that way is the hardest decision anyone could ever make. Like, that's the thing that people don't get. Like, they say it's cowardly, but they had to sit there and they planned this and they took this way out. And also, I see it as depression is a silent killer. Like, you know,
It really is.
so it's like just having like a disease. Like, people die of cancer. Like, if people can't find the right help in America, I don't know where it is where you guys are, it is so hard to get help. If you do not have health insurance, it's nearly impossible. You know, they make it so hard to get help for something that's so stigmatized and should not be. You have to jump through hoops just to get help. And it should not be like that. It should not be that way. But people can get help easily if, you know, their addiction here, it's easier to get help with addiction than it is for
It's exactly the same here, because like I said, I went through something very, very personal to me, and I got to see firsthand, because I had to go through the process for it, and it was easier if you were on heroin or whatever. It was easier if you were a drug addict or if you had alcohol abuse. But if you were just mentally, if it was a mental health issue, and you were suicidal, there was no help for that. No government funded help, nothing immediate and nothing permanent. There was very, very temporary help. And even that wasn't what you would think it would be. So yeah, I went through that very recently, and you know, I don't want to say this and discourage people. Like, I don't want people to be discouraged about certain things. I just think that if you have a family member or a friend or anyone that you know that struggles and does talk to you and does open up, don't shut them down. Listen to them and go through stuff with them, and, you know, try and help them to get to those resources before it's too late, you know, before they feel like there isn't anything else, and before it gets to that point where it is extreme and it actually is difficult to do certain things. Because, you know, it's just shitty. And there were things that I, like you, Ash, I never thought that I would go through with, I never thought that I would have to deal with. I didn't think it would be my family. And in that situation, I can't explain what certain things were like, but I will never forget it, and I don't think I'd wish that on my worst enemy, to feel so helpless and see someone you love in that much pain and feel like you're gonna lose them. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into any more details, but yeah, you just need to think. You just need to think about what you say. And fuck me, I know we take shit for granted. I know when you can get angry, people, we say shit we don't mean, but like, just think about something before you say it. And just try and be a bit more compassionate and open to people. And if you do see someone hurting and you know they are, don't say shit that you just don't say your opinion. Like Ash said, just keep it to yourself. It's not necessary. You know, just think of someone else other than yourself.
Yeah, because it's very hurtful. Like, and the sad thing is, what she said over all the nice condolences and comments I've received from thousands of people in my community, that one person, that one opinion, that one negative comment is what sticks in my mind. Like, don't do that to someone, you know? Because that one bad thing is what you're going to think of over the 1,000 good things. It really is. And I wish I didn't think that way, but I can't help it. It just bugs me till this day. Like,
because it's going to hurt you, because it's personal, and because, you know, like, it's horrible. It's just shitty. She shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, being a close friend too. I would assume, like, yeah, you know, especially people on the internet, but that's something like someone behind a keyboard would say. I never thought someone would say that to my face.
You know, like I said, that's why I wanted to say what I said about myself. Otherwise, I would have never fucking said shit about myself. But I needed to say that, you know, to fucking 8 people watching this right now, and whoever watches this later, or one day in the fucking future, whatever. Because honestly, like, I never want to hear that it is selfish to make a choice with your life. I never want to fucking hear that from anybody about any decisions. Because at the end of the day, how you feel and how somebody else feels is completely different, and shit happens, and horrible, horrible things happen, and we have to deal with them. But we have to deal with them. And it's not fair to sit there and tell someone that they're selfish and to keep somebody somewhere against their will. And I think if people understood it, we would still be selfish. You know, I can't imagine someone I care for being, like, if I imagine the worst thing physically, if I imagine someone I love more than anything with cancer, and I saw them in that much pain, I still think a part of me wouldn't let go. I still think I would be selfish. And you know what? Maybe we are selfish to keep people here, and maybe they are a bit selfish to leave, but, you know, it's all emotions, and it's all about how someone feels. And again, while I don't think, I will never sit there and say suicide is not the right answer. I know that's a controversial statement to make. I know it's really fucking controversial to say that, because it's so fucking frowned upon. But I feel like there's such a stigma on it. And it is a horrible, horrible fucking tragic thing that someone has to feel like that and end their life in that way. But, you know, we sit here and we always see the potential, and we see what life they could have lived and what was left. And, you know, at the same time, like I said, I will always, because I've experienced it, I will always see it from the other end as well. And 1 year of living in torture could feel like 10 years of future life that I could have had or someone else could have had. So I don't agree with making a life choice for somebody. Whether you know, it's the same as being sick, like Ash said. If you saw somebody in pain, just every day dying from something, you know, we would all hope to be strong enough to one day be able to let that person go and not be selfish for their peace. And the way I see suicide is exactly like that. But I think a lot of it shouldn't fucking happen. A lot of it should not happen. And it is a shame for so many people. And I do see the loss and the potential, and I see what could have been, and it shouldn't happen with a lot of people, mostly kids. And you know, I think each case depends on the circumstance and that person. So I could never sit there and make the statement that, you know, I'm against suicide, or, you know, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't do that because everyone is different. And who am I to judge, you know? I'm not judge and jury for the world and their problems because, you know, if this was something else and we were presented with a, you know, cancer or a horrible, horrible terminal illness or a chronic disease that someone dealt with or a disability, people would have a different outlook, I think. I think the percentages and stats would be very different if there was a poll taken. So for me, again, suicide mostly stems around mental health. And mental health can't be seen all the time. And that's why I could never sit there and say, you know, for me, it's not, you know, suicide prevention. It's more helping somebody before they get to the point of that for me. Having the resources and support there before that extreme part of no return. That's how I see it.
Say, awareness to the fact of what leads up to suicide. And also
Exactly.
I want to make 2 points. I'm not saying, like, of course, like, I would do anything for my brother to be back, like to see him walk through that door, to give him a hug, to tell him how much I love him and how proud I am of him. I have my text thread on my phone of him. I haven't looked through it, but I would always make it a point to tell him how proud I was of him and how much I loved him, and I know he knew that. But the thing is, I want him back, like I do. I can look at suicide as 2 ways of the person. I lost someone from it, and I felt that myself, so I can't sit here and say, you know, I don't want him to be in pain, and he wanted the way out. Like, of course it sucks. It sucks every day, but if I lost him, he was a fireman. If I lost him to a fire, like, you know, he was
right, exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? I could have lost him another way. Like, I don't look at it as how I lost him, just the fact of the matter, like, it was about mental illness, and that's why I'm trying to sit here and be on this panel to tell people, like, you know, there is help. And to retract what I said before, to anyone that's looking for help, I said, yeah, you have to jump through hoops, but in America, if anyone out there, go to your state, you can sign up for any type of Medicaid and state-funded insurance. Start with that. I just want to give everyone that advice. Do that. Like, there is resources. It's hard, but don't give up. Like, just keep trying with your state aid and try to get the help you need. I just wanted to make that a point, too. I didn't want to make people feel like it's impossible, because it's not. It's hard, but just try to look for resources out there into your state. Look on your government state websites and fill Medicaid out. So
yeah, and for here in Australia, like, it's for long-term extreme circumstances, there isn't much unless you have a lot of money, to be honest. And like I said, I know this because I experienced it, but I don't want to discourage people that are going through anything, because 110%, I can tell you, at least for Australia, because I know this, there is always, always immediate help for you. And when I say temporary, I want to clarify again, because I know this. Temporary is anything from 72 hours to 7 days. So I just want to clarify that in case anyone ever thinks that there isn't help for them. There is. There are support groups and centers. There are lines you can call. And there are places that you can go that they will direct you to and will take you into if you need somewhere to stay. If you need to be somewhere because you feel like you're a danger to yourself, or a harm to yourself or anybody else. There are places that you can do that. There is 110% that immediate help here. So I just don't want anyone to think, because of us sharing our experiences or anything, that they don't have, because that's the whole point we are making, that there are people out there that give a fuck. And you don't have to feel the way that you feel, because, you know, we do understand. A lot of people go through it in different ways, and we all have our different experiences, but, you know.
Yeah. I was just more so saying, like, in where I live in New York in the United States, is if you have, my sister, for instance, she's married, so she has really good health insurance through her wife. I am a business owner, meaning I pay out for my employees to have health insurance. I don't technically have health insurance. I had to go through a state-funded, place like Medicaid to get the help I needed. I'm just saying, for anyone in the United States, like, there is help. It's hard to get Medicaid, but don't give up. And also, I'm just saying it's easier to get help when you have insurance through a job, because it's a little bit better insurance. It's easily accepted. But there are places that specifically take state-funded health insurance. So I just wanted to let everyone know, like, just research it in the state you live in. Hey, Meg. Are you okay? Pat and I are here for you. I'm always here for you. If you ever need to talk to me, we can, talk.
I'll talk to you, Ash, but I won't talk on here.
No, I know. Voice chat on Snapchat. You can call me on there anytime, day or night.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely a good listener, and definitely talk to you. I'm quite funny too. I'm sure you don't ever see that, but I'm quite humorous. I could probably make you laugh. Not lately. I kind of been like,
Yeah, I'm glad that
that.
I think these topics need to be spoken about. It's just that the way it happened tonight for me was, yeah.
I get what you mean.
It's unexpected.
Yeah, out of the blue, when things happen like this and a topic that you, I guess, feel deep down about or struggle with yourself, when it comes out of the blue, it definitely is like shocking, to try to, I don't know, find the right words and express yourself too. I can send you pictures of my puppies. I can share you with.
I think you're going to have to send me hundreds of pictures for tonight.
My dog's so cute. One of them, she's like on her back. She gets jealous when I'm on the phone, like have my phone. She'll like slap my phone out of my hand all the time. It's funny.
Megan, I can send you pictures of my puppies too. They're just not dogs.
Yeah. Do that. Make me feel better.
I think Ash is more appropriate at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I like all kind of puppies.
Oh, well, I'll send you my puppies then, Ash.
Wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I just want to tell you guys that, Cass and Meg, you guys actually have been a huge help for me, like, the past couple of months. Just being in a live stream, I could escape my reality, like, my real life, and it's been very helpful. Like, I have really, really bad days. I have really decent days, and then I have days, like, I can see you guys in a chat. The past week I've been really busy helping my mom move and my sister move in, but other than that, when I'm on your guys' chat, it's, you guys definitely make a difference, even though you might not see it or realize it, but you do. You made a difference in my life.
Was it my bobs, Ash?
Yeah, and your blonde hair.
Oh. No, I really appreciate you saying that. It made me cry the first time you said it. I think I've done enough of that tonight, though.
Yeah.
Back to Bob and Dick jokes for Kaplan. I have to. Yeah, I say this all the time, and like I said, I think me and Megan feel the same about this. You know, like I said, we both come on, and in our own way, doing our own thing, try and help other people as well. Megan does that so much better and more than I do because she actually talks to people. Like I said, I always joke about the fact that she actually gives a shit about people, but she really does, and you can see that obviously. And for me, it's honestly been more of a surprising thing because let me tell you, I don't like people. I don't know how many times I've said it. I'm not a fan. That's why I work with animals, but it's been, I don't know, I can't seem to get myself away from it because physically I go through a lot. So for me, sometimes physically I need to stream. I need to do it. But then the connections I've made with people I didn't expect to at all, honestly. Like, if you had asked me like 6 months ago if I thought it would be like this, I would have said no. I never ever would have thought that I would come onto a panel like this. Hashtag blame Megan. But like legit, like I didn't think that I would be coming on here, and I didn't want to be honest with you as well. Like, I don't, I'm not that kind of person. I feel like the perception people have of me is that I'm outspoken and controversial and savage, and I'm none of those things. Like in real life, like I'm not, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to be doing what I'm doing right now. I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to care. I didn't want to try and help. I didn't want any of it. I just wanted to game and talk about games and for the most part be left alone, to be honest. And definitely not divulge any personal details about myself. But yeah. So when I come on here and I actually hear people
now.
yeah, it is your fault 100. But when I come on here and I hear people say shit to me like, and you know, even if it's a kid who says to me something like, Cap, you're my favorite streamer, and I know they've said it to 10 other people that the same day, even if it's still like means something to me. But when you hear from people over personal experience or a bond or just the fact that, you know, when someone says to you, oh, I came in and just by watching you be a dickhead and talk shit, it made me laugh and that helped me get through my days. Thank you. You know, I don't even know what to say to that. But if like I said, this isn't something I wanted, but while I'm here, if I can do that for somebody, then I hope that I can.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do it. That's not my fucking job. I'm a gamer. I'm into entertainment value, like, I guess, but you know, like I said, I'm a person as well. I'm a human being. I'm not just a robot or here as a puppet for people's entertainment. But if someone takes something that I've done and they take some positivity out of it and it helps them a little bit, then that means the world to me. It really does. Because me helping someone helps me as well. You know? And people sit there and say to me something like, you don't realize what you do and how much you help me. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, thank you, because you're the one helping me. So that's how it feels for me anyway.
I had someone come in and tell me that I was an inspiration to them. And that happened to also be on one of the days where I was sitting here laughing, but inside I was dying. And that makes it worth it. It makes it worth it. All the trolls, all the bullshit, everything else that comes along with the good. But that little bit makes it totally worth it for me.
Yeah, for me it's I won't lie, for me it's more of a day-to-day thing. But I think that for me it's the same as it might be for Ash or somebody else in the same way. So for me, when I feel like I've done something or someone says something or even just makes a comment, it's not about someone being like, oh, thanks so much, Kaplan, you're fucking awesome. Like, just for them to make a kind or decent comment, or just for me to connect in a way that I didn't think I was going to on that particular day or at that particular time. It's those moments, you know, plus things like what Ash says, that get me through my day. And then I come back and I try again tomorrow. And that's what it is, you know? For me, I can't look at it like that because of how I feel about life in general and how my mental state is. So I can't sit there and be like, the same way Megan is exactly. And just be like, oh wow, you know, this kid told me I'm the best YouTuber. All the shit I've eaten over the past 6 months, it makes it worth it for me. I can't say it for myself personally because some days it's not worth it, if I'm being honest. That's how I feel, and that's not like, fuck me. It's like every time I say something, I feel like I've got to fucking try and spare people's feelings, because honestly, the pressure of coming on here and talking to like putting yourself out there opens yourself up to two things, and one is all this scrutiny, judgment, harassment, bullying, abuse, negativity, just bullshit, hate. That for yourself personally, because that's what you are. You're just sitting there and you're like, you know what, here I am, come at me. And two, you can hurt other people by what you do, how you behave, what you say. So that's a huge responsibility to come on here. And also another reason, by the way, side note, why I say not everybody should be a YouTuber. Because some people just come on and say whatever the fuck they want. They don't think at all. And that's a big reason why sometimes I'm just like, you know, maybe I shouldn't stream today because I'm not really feeling it and I'm going to say some shit. And I've come on here and I've had bad days for myself and I've been going through it and I've said things to people to hurt. Like, I've hurt people when I didn't intend to. I know that I have. And it's like the opposite of my intention always. Some people aren't like that. Some people come on there to hurt people. Some people do it knowingly. They do it on purpose. Because they're going through their own shit, you know. But yeah, for me, it's a day-to-day thing. But I didn't think I'd be here. And now the way things have been going, because of the support I've had, I sit there and now I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, so in 4 months I'm going to be playing this game. And for me, that's huge. I mean, I don't know if I will. I might fucking lose my shit before then. But the fact that I'm even thinking about that is huge because I don't plan anything. My anxiety makes me live a minute at a time. And the fact that this makes me have a passion again in that way, you know, for this particular thing. And it's not just the gaming, because I've said many times, I could just game. I don't need to stream, you know. I could even game and still fucking talk to people on the PS4 network and still do the online thing and not stream. Like, you know, for me to be doing it, I feel like it's because of that day-to-day support. There's always one person at least. There's always one that comes in and just makes it better by the simplest of fucking things, really. It doesn't take a lot for me. And that's the thing, like, you know, it doesn't take a lot, guys. Like, show people just a bit of fucking kindness, you know? Like, especially as well if you're having a bad day. Especially if you're having a bad day and a tough time, show someone else some kindness. Like, because for me, I can tell you it's basic shit. It's stuff like somebody making a joke. It's stuff like somebody remembering what my favorite color is. It's stuff like, I don't know, somebody sending me a fucking kissy emoji or telling me I look pretty, which doesn't happen. Why? Why, people? Why don't you tell me I look pretty? Am I not pretty? Why? No, anyway, I'm just kidding. But it's just basic stuff, you know.
Travel said, you'd be surprised how many people don't have another ear to listen to, even if they have people in their lives. Doesn't mean they feel heard or understood. Yes, Travel, that's very true. And that's true for me. Having a connection is a human need, and it's why channels like this is so hopeful and enjoyable. And that's why your girls are so loved and appreciated by us.
I mean, Travel, I kind of have to because, you know, the human race and all. Like, if I could create a replica of the T-virus, but minus the zombie part of it, like, I would. and ideally I would like a world full of robots and animals. I've thought about this. So the robots basically fix the human part, and then it's just me, and it's like an I Am Legend sort of situation, except not zombies, and my dog doesn't die. But
Thank you,
sadly,
Cap.
I have the human race, so I can't. I have to be all like, let's support each other. But really, I want to kill you all and create a virus.
Thank you, Cap7.
Just kidding. I have to say that I'm just kidding because I'm on the internet. I'm just kidding. YouTube. Joking.
The thing is, Travel, talking about myself, as you've probably noticed, I don't say much about me, but that whole thing about the human connection, for me, it's a thing of, because I don't talk about my own things, I prefer to come on a stream and talk to people and not have to worry about my own things, if that makes any sense. So I put it away, far away.
It's nice to hear you say that, Megan, because I think people don't even think about that. Because I wouldn't have known this, and I don't think because of ignorance. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but more because of lack of knowledge. I wouldn't have ever thought that a vlogger, not that they don't feel shit or have their own issues and stuff, but I think it's the way we perceive people from the outside, and also it's what you give people and show people. And so for me, I understand that there's a certain amount of criticism that I'm going to get that I almost invite in because I put up that fucking wall. Because I give people a certain version of myself, and I don't let them see the other parts. So how the fuck can they understand it? Yeah, and as a vlogger, just because I didn't know, I wouldn't have sat there and thought that, it would be the same thing for you as it was for me. And that's kind of what I love, is the fact that we can sit there and talk to so many different people and be like, oh, fuck, you're going through the same thing as me. I never would have thought that. Because I always not assumed solely, but I didn't actually just think about it. I just didn't think outside of my own group because I was never exposed to it. So I always think of gamers because I know so many gamers, and I know, the classic stereotype, and obviously for myself and a few other people, it's an escape. It's an escape for us to sit there and to game and all that stuff. And a lot of people are, introverted, and that for them is the only connection that they can have to. It's the only way they know they can connect through an online, gaming thing. But in real life, they can't do that. Right. And that, that upsets me because fuck me, the gaming community is for, it's fucking disgusting, and it's like, fuck me,
Give me 1 second, my daughter's calling.
Yeah, fine. For me, at the end of the day, it's always like, god damn it, people. It's always everything. Any fucking situation you bring it up, it's just like, god damn it, people. Why the fuck can't we just be kind to each other? I come on to play a game and I get people swear at me and yell at me through a fucking the mic piece because I said hello, or because I don't sound feminine enough, or because I sound this, or because I said that, or just because. I remember getting fucking trolled or picked on and bullied for no reason at all. I was literally chosen at random because people had nothing better to do, and their sole purpose was to pick someone and pick on them. And I just sit there and I look at that behavior and I think, fuck. You know what I mean? And god damn it, it makes me so angry at people. And that's why I am the way that I am. Personally, I'm just like, I don't sit there and look at people and be like, you're all fucking assholes. Just most of you. Because there are so many decent people out there. that do amazing things to help other people. And there are people that don't necessarily need to go to extremes and great lengths. They just do the basic stuff of being a decent fucking human being. And it is that fucking basic sometimes. Like, honestly, just treat people how you want to be treated. Fuck me, it's so basic. It's so basic. And some people can't do that. And it's just, it drives me insane. It makes me want to bang my head against the wall and create a T-virus. But like an altered version of a T-virus. And this is why I work with animals, people. Because, you know, we could make the right choices, and we don't. I know everyone goes through shit and everyone has their own stuff, but, you know, and I'm not fucking, goddamn it, I'm not perfect. Like, you know, I probably sound like a fucking hypocrite because I think we all have been at one point or another, if we're being honest, because none of us are perfect. We say something and then we go and do the opposite of that, you know. But I do try. And, you know, I might fuck up one day, but my fuck up doesn't excuse your fuck up, you know. So I'm still gonna try. And that's just how I am anyway. I just think we need to be fucking kind to each other and understand we're all people. We all go through shit. Like I said, if you can't understand something, just don't say anything. You know?
Yeah.
Your fucking 2 cents is not needed. Keep it to yourself.